Hello, this is Angelique, and you're listening to We're Booked Up Season 3, wherein Kendall, Andrew, and I continue to read books and have opinions on them. And in keeping with our first episode tradition, we read yet another James Patterson book, The Perfect Assassin.
Sorry. The Perfect Assassin.
Co-authored by Brian Sitz this time. If you've listened to the previous season's premiere episode, you may know that we read The Noise in Season 1 and Death of the Black Widow in Season 2, both co-authored by J.D. Barker. If you did listen to those episodes, you may have some idea of how this one's going to go.
You don't know. We might have loved it now that Brian Sitz is the co-author.
Okay. First, did we have a good summer hiatus? Did we read or watch anything interesting?
Oh, I actually read things.
Yay!
Yeah.
I did not.
I had to write it down because I have no memory right now. I read Una Out of Order by Marguerite Mortimer, 3 3/4 stars. I think there's more story there, and I really wish it were series. But it was good. I saw The Little Mermaid.
Oh.
I loved it. I'm really glad I saw it in the movie theater, too. It made it better.
Yeah.
We watched American Born Chinese on Disney Plus. That was cute.
Is that the one that had like Michelle Yeoh and Kiwi Kwan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
exact same cast as Everything Everywhere all at once. Mm-hmm.
See, I wanted to watch it, but then it was like Disney. And so I was like, I don't know.
It's cute.
It's cute.
It's
Okay,
definitely
okay.
like a kid's journey. And then Never Have I Ever Season 3. I love Mindy Kaling and her vibe. And then I read books too. I did. What else did I read? Because I filled out my thing and I turned it in. Heartstopper.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
no.
Also, Osman.
That was amazing. I
It's a
loved
good
it.
story. Yeah.
5 stars. Una Out of Order, Heartstopper, Perfect Assassin. What was the other one I read? Oh, Turtles All the Way Down by John Green.
Mm.
I liked it.
Mm.
I like John Green though.
I never read any of his books, but I saw that movie, Fault in Our Stars. And I can't remember who died, but someone really important to me died like the weekend before, and that was not a good. That did not go well. So I have like you say John Green, I'm like, oh god, I have like a PTSD thing.
Feel like a
It's
little
not his
flashback.
fault. Not his fault. It's a very good movie. Anyway,
Mhm.
Angelique, what did you read this summer?
Not much. I reread some things. I reread Goblin Emperor because Kendall mentioned it to me, and
That
That's
was
a
like
good
that was like
reason.
like 2 weeks
I
ago.
know. I know. I didn't like reread it word for word. I skipped to the parts I wanted to read, and then that's about it. That's really all I read.
Summer reading's hard on librarians.
People are like, don't you love a job we can read all day? I don't know. I don't know what that's like.
Find me a job where I can do that, and I'll let you know.
Yeah, seriously. What did I read this summer? So I read for a book club. We read The Lioness by Chris Bojalian. I don't know how I'm pronouncing it.
Bojalian.
Bojalian, yeah. Sorry, Chris B. But
Crispy.
Chris. Oh, that's worse. I'd rather just murder his last name. It was good. I didn't know what to expect of it, and it moved really quickly. It was one of those where I got to the end, I was like, I like this. And then after thinking about it for 30 minutes, you realize the gaping plot holes in it, and you're like, oh. So it kind of was like a 4 and then kind of bumped down to like a 3. It still was solid. It was solid.
That's kind of how the flight attendant was. It was like, oh, okay, really good start. We're good. I'm following. Yeah, we're good. And there's like, there's some stuff that needs some work.
Yeah, that's kind of how it felt. And the book club loves him, and I was like, I get it. I get why. It's a quick read for me. It was great because it was like one of those. I'd read 20 pages on Sunday evening, and here we go, and I was able to finish it. So I do appreciate that. I saw Barbie. That was good.
Oh, don't tell me anything.
Okay, won't say anything. And then we talked about that movie Red, White, and Royal Blue, which premiered yesterday. So I think I'm gonna watch it tonight
I'll probably
on
watch it
Amazon
tomorrow.
Prime. We liked the book.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I didn't really read much. Oh God, I read one of those Emily Henry. I think it was Book Lovers.
Aw.
Ugh.
Wait a minute. Aren't
Yeah,
we
we're gonna be
reading
reading that this
Hey,
I mean,
season. So keep your notes.
keep those notes.
spoiler. No, it wasn't. I'm not going to say anything now because I forgot that we're going to be rereading that. Such a joy.
Next year.
Next year,
I think.
February.
So you'll forget
So many
about
months.
Well, when you skim it next February or January in
I'll
preparation,
have forgotten everything. I'll probably have to reread it, and then it'll be all over again.
you'll be like, "Didn't I read this before? This sounds familiar."
Oh, and I got through this one this morning, so that was
The
my
whole book.
No. I did start, and I was like, I was going to read every night, and then it was like 150 pages this morning. I was like, okay, I
Just
can do
power
this.
through.
Just powered through it.
Okay. So before we go into the synopsis, there's they're going to be writing another book together, and the tagline for the book that they're going to write together is hilarious to me, and I want to teach this funny to you guys. Okay, they're going to have a book published, Holmes, Miss Marple, and Poe Investigations, for like characters with those last names based on those characters, basically. And the tagline for it is, "They're open for business, murder business."
If you make me read that next September, I'm going to kill you, Angelique.
Well, we'll know where to take the investigation.
The murder business. God.
Okay.
Oh,
Now,
help us.
on to The Perfect Assassin. We'll start with the synopsis, and then we'll go to our ratings, and then we'll go to our questions.
Okay.
Okay.
We all have the same book, right?
Yes, we do.
You're never going to live that down. That is a season 2 flashback.
Funny story. I'll let her get through the synopsis
Okay.
first.
Professor Brant Savage, grandson of the legendary action hero Doc Savage, is forced into a top-secret training program where he discovers his true calling as the perfect assassin. Dr. Brant Savage is on sabbatical from the University of Chicago. Instead of doing solo fieldwork in anthropology, the gawky, bespectacled PhD finds himself enrolled in a school where he is the sole pupil. His professor, Meade, is demanding. She's also his captor. Savage emerges from their intensive training sessions physically and mentally transformed, but with no idea why he's been chosen or how he'll use his fearsome abilities. Then his first mission with Meade shows Savage how deeply entwined their two lives have been. To prevent a new class of killers from escaping this harsh place where their ancestors first fought to make a better world, they must pledge anew, do right to all and wrong to no one.
I don't think that's what happened.
No.
It's close.
Yeah. At no point was
No
it said that he was
cigar.
becoming an assassin. He was just training.
He was just kidnapped and forced to do labor.
Yeah, now that I read this, he didn't assassinate anybody.
No.
No. I mean, okay.
Is there like this is a series, right? So is it like
It's the
this
beginning.
builds
First in series.
into
First in
where
series.
he assassinates people?
I don't know.
Because he doesn't assassinate anyone in this book.
So I was gonna.
Sorry, I just
No, it's-
she's reading that and I went
So I have a question at
Wait.
the end that might clarify things.
okay,
Honestly.
okay.
Okay, so funny story.
I love funny stories.
I actually read the synopsis for the other J.D. Barker and James Patterson book, Coast to Coast Murders.
Mhm.
And so I'm reading this book with that synopsis in my brain, and I'm like a quarter of the way through, and I'm like, when do they go coast to coast? Like, no one has like really like, where's the murder investigation? And that's when I looked it up, and I learned a little bit about Doc Savage.
Oh, good.
So, 'cause I
you're
did not-
prepared.
I did not know that was a thing. Did you guys know Doc
That's
Savage
my
was
question.
a
Did
character?
y'all know that in like the 1930s, it was
Mm-mm.
like a book series, like a pulp series.
Oh no.
Doc Savage was like it's a different name, like Dr. Clark Savage, and he's supposed to be and Brant Savage is supposed to be the
Oh.
grandson. So it's like a reboot of that series.
Yes.
So not only
Yeah, but
Never
I
mind,
only
I'll
found
get
out
there.
after I read.
Okay, so yeah, I know. I found that out about a quarter of the way through, and then I also read in like the Wikipedia article that this Doc Savage character was like the precursor to superheroes,
Yeah,
and that made me
it gave some context.
it
or
gave
something.
context, and I made some allowances that when you guys rate your stuff, you'll understand if I rate it a little higher, because I was like, oh, okay, going into this, I understood. Anyway, okay, take it away, Ace.
All right, ratings.
So for me, it was a 3.25.
Okay.
I think I put a 2 on Goodreads. It was more like a 1.75. But I'll say 2. There were parts that worked.
I'm gonna go with 2 as well. So,
Yeah.
even knowing that it was.
Yeah, that is it. Yeah, sorry. My response was also not only did he write this, but then he ruined something else that was from a different time. It wasn't that bad, I promise. But that was my smart comment that I was gonna.
Makes me want to go back and like, okay, not actually go back and read the like original like books and stuff like that. But I am kind of curious the tone of the Doc Savage stuff and how this like relates to that previous series and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably very 1940s dialogue though.
You don't say.
I remember reading. I read. I imagine it was a lot like Tarzan.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
Same.
No, Tarzan predates that too. All right, we ready for the questions?
Yeah,
Yes,
let's
please.
do it.
Okay. Did you like the main characters of Dr. Brant Savage and Mead, aka Kira Sunlight?
What are you gonna ask it? Like that? Oh, like I can tell you don't like the name
No,
Kira
I
Sunlight.
I don't like it. When she said that line, I almost just closed the book. I'm like, no, I'm done.
Oh my goodness.
I did not. In case anyone was wondering.
I didn't mind her as much when she was Mead.
Yeah.
I didn't mind.
Yeah.
You know, in my head, this is way jumping ahead. I'm sorry, but like the character, like the actress who would play her in my head is Florence Pugh,
Oh yeah.
and so I don't know. I could see her making it work, but the main character, Savage, no. I didn't like him.
Mm-mm.
I just didn't like him. So, like, in the beginning, they're trying to make him, like, this bumbly professor, just kind of, like, futzing his way through life.
Well, now.
Yeah, except, I don't know. Like, I don't think any of the characteristics that they were describing were... So, like, at one point, they're, like, he's having his own, internal monologue, and he's like, I think I'm on the... I might be on the spectrum, like, the autism spectrum. And I'm like... But he has given zero... evidence before or after to support that claim, and I'm like, this is poor writing.
Yeah.
Well, and then it's like he gets, I don't know, there were opportunities, and it's that he's like in love with something about all of that. Yeah, he didn't work. And even when he got all like big and buff, he still was kind of a loser.
Like, I don't understand why she really needed him, other than like to be a partner and like just to be backup. But then the way like they treat him in the book, it's like she is creating somebody who's going to become her protector and her hero, but he still defers to her a lot. And, you know, he's stuck on a submarine while she's the one that's actually going and blowing stuff up at this school and like actually getting things done.
Yeah, they did kind of like
it's just...
He had like one or two things at the end that sort of saved her.
Ish.
Yeah.
I feel like she could have been resourceful, like, around it. I would have
figured it out.
Yeah, the submarine thing was ridiculous. That whole plot line did not work. It's like, I'm in this abandoned cavern that I randomly found that's my great-grandfather's. Oh, there's a submarine that worked. Like, that's I don't know what the moment you think I was about through it, but that was the moment where I was just like, okay, I don't understand. Then there's like an F-14. Because somehow this school of children, they have F-14s that they can shoot people out of the sky. That is when it just jumped the shark. And I'm like, okay, kill them. Just kill somebody. This is awful.
Well, so like, FYI, the moment I thought that you would just start reading, like, just stop reading the book and like throw it across the room, like, was when they got the jetpacks.
Oh God, yes.
Okay. She's like, okay, here's this jetpack from 1930. Put it on your back, and she shoves him off a building.
No, the part that I got was that then there was like 2 pages there where they were like floating in the wind, and like in the air, and I was like, it's like Aladdin. Like I expected a whole new world to start playing in the background as they were like flying around on their jetpacks happily. Yeah, that was bad.
Dumb.
Basically, when they introduced the Doc Savage, the great-grandfather stuff, is when, to me, the whole book went off the rails.
Yeah.
The first half of it was weird, but I was moving, I was clicking, I could tell it was building towards something, and then it was like,
yeah.
Yeah, it was dumb.
Submarine.
I didn't like either of them either. I liked her more than him.
Yeah.
Mostly because she reminded me of Black Widow from Marvel.
It's the same person.
Okay, that's funny. That's why I said Florence Pugh, because to me she's not like Natasha, but she's not, I don't know. She had like edge. I don't know. She just didn't care. Natasha cares. Anyway, continue. She reminded you of Black Widow.
Yeah, and that's really the only reason. And he was just annoying.
Who was
he had
also
no substance to him.
Black Widow was also like born from Russian
exactly, and
spy
raised
training
in a school with other children to be an assassin.
And think about it, if this was a precursor to superheroes,
Yeah.
and now they have all this lore of the superhero genre or whatever, you know they're pulling some other stuff.
Yeah.
All right, Marvel. All right, Disney lawyers. Let's get on this. Kidding.
Okay. What did you like most about the book? What did you like least?
Again, I when I first started, I mean, it was far-fetched, but it was like, again, it was, you know, it kind of felt like the Death of the Black Widow, where it's like, once it jumped the shark, I couldn't get back in the boat.
Mm-hmm.
That metaphor didn't work. But anyway, but the first half I was like, okay.
You couldn't get back up on your skis, Fonzie.
Yes. Yeah, really, Fonzie? Okay, anyway.
That's where Jump to Shark came from.
I know.
Sorry,
It's
I
like,
interrupted you.
Anyway, so the first half wasn't great or anything, but at least, and it definitely got repetitive. That's what I told Angelique. I was like, okay, after about 65 pages in, I was like, please go somewhere. Not where they went, but somewhere would have been nice. But at least for a while, it was like, okay, it was mysterious. You didn't know what was happening. They kind of did the flashbacks, which actually, I know you hate flashbacks, but I didn't think they were as...
They were more interesting.
They were not as... they definitely were more interesting. And they weren't as like... That part worked to me. The flashbacks worked as as the narrative was building for a while.
It was necessary, I feel like, to humanize Meade.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why we liked her, is because really Doc Savage, other than apparently he's autistic.
Which is okay, except there's no other evidence in the book.
But that's literally like the only...
Other than that, he's smart.
He's smart. And...
Is he, though?
Well, he's supposed to be.
Because there's some moments where I'm like,
But that's all you know about him. Like, that's all that they give him. So at least I guess maybe that's why we like Meade more, because at least we know all these horrible things that happened to her and what she was going
and
through.
Explains her. And
explains her, yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas they tried to explain him, and then they didn't follow up on the explanation.
Yeah. Okay, so things I liked the best. I thought it was fun. It was an easy, quick read. Chapters are short. I'm good. There's in the flashback the relationship between Meade and Irina, and
that did come full circle.
Mm-hmm.
Which that was one of the few things that really played out.
Yeah. Things I didn't like. I have a really hard time with bad things happening to kids. So I was really struggling with, all the infant kidnappings because, that's not going to help a new mom. Like, or I'm not even.
That first scene was.
It's just, I don't like it. Like, there's infant death. Not cool. Part of me was really hoping that Irina was going to end up being like her long lost sister, which I guess she kind of became in the sense that they bonded at school, but I was really hoping that they were going to be like, that baby didn't actually die.
Yeah.
And then like, I did not like that they kept going back in with the infant kidnappings and making it a part of like, the mother is like the mom who's like an Olympic athlete, and she's like African out to star. Dinner, and she's leaves her baby with a babysitter, and then that baby gets kidnapped. I'm like, that is not cool. Or like, I don't know. At least
I was afraid with that one that then there wasn't going to be any resolution to it.
So
at least there was bad, good, whatever. It actually was that was the one happy part.
But there wasn't any resolution, I don't think, with the other couple that like put their baby to bed.
Oh yeah.
And then they like had an adult evening and their baby got kidnapped.
I forgot about that.
Like, what happened to that baby? I'm hoping that baby was safely returned.
Yeah, I guess you could assume they were because they found all the babies.
Yeah, but still, I don't know. It just.
But don't introduce. You introduced the one, and then you introduced this one to try to build this web of like, it's still going on.
Yeah, sure.
And so for them not to follow it up, I mean, the chapters are a page and a half each. You couldn't have added an extra page and a half about the couple.
Sentence, Mr. So-and-so. I have, like, because, at the end, Meade's making all the phone calls and reuniting as many of the kids as she can, which is nice. Anyway, the other thing that I did not like was that they were creating this, like, relationship romantically between Meade and the professor, because it was like Stockholm-y, syndrome-y, and then at one point like she's like giving him a deep tissue massage and he's like, oh hey, I'm having feelings, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what a twist. What if they're related? Like, I kept thinking the whole time that they were going to be related.
It's like Luke and Leia.
Yeah.
You know what, though? At the end, they said that thing about their twins running the family, and his great-grandfather was a twin.
I'm telling you.
And she was a twin.
They're like second cousins, twice removed.
Like, the relationship feels icky.
Yeah.
I really wish that instead of trying to embrace them as a romantic couple, that they would just be setting them up to be platonic partners in crime or anti-crime.
Because, I mean, through most of the book, she basically was abusing him and holding him captive. Like, it wasn't like, they make it seem like, oh, well, no, she had a greater mission and he's the only one who could do it and they were going to save the world. I was like, yeah, but it didn't start off that way.
Yeah, Also, why could she not tell him this in the beginning?
I
Like,
know.
why the secrecy? Why can't he have buy-in at the beginning?
Like the
Yeah.
cage and the
Yeah, because I don't know. I feel like if the situation were reversed, if it was him like doing that to her, she'd shank him in the night as soon
Yeah.
as she could. And
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, let's go get wine. Let's go get dinner."
It's weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. I said what I liked about
Did you?
it. What I didn't like about it, the rest of it.
Oh yeah. So like, so
Sorry.
the characters, the plot.
Yes, yeah. No, I just
Setting.
I hated. I thought it just went. It when it was supposed to like pick up with the action, it just went off the rails, and it just never quite got back on. And his whole plot line was just stupid.
it was. He was.
Submarine.
I didn't like him.
Why is the submarine still going to work?
I don't know. That is a lot of faith.
It didn't work very long, to be honest.
But then it's like, oh, the food's melted, but the wool blanket doesn't have dust on it.
Yeah.
You probably
Where's dust
sneezed.
gonna
That's what
come
probably
from?
caused the submarine to sink.
Well, you know, he's superhuman because he stopped a bullet. So
Don't get me started on that.
Okay.
Another thing I did not like was the fact that suddenly we went from he's strong to he can stop a bullet.
Yeah.
That was stupid.
So
you know, all you need is a little bit of wheatgrass juice and a couple, like a treadmill, and bam.
Go out there and try that, people. See what happens. That's not how that works. And it's not even like, and that was the thing where it was like, there was nothing else in it other than, I mean, the Doc Savage stuff was like, but it was still like inventy. And then there's like randomly, supernaturally science fiction superhero. And then nothing else after that was like that. It was weird.
So I didn't like the whole Brant as a friendless loser kind of thing. It had like no substance. We were just so supposed to take it that he is because he does things alone.
Yeah, because if that were the case, then Angelique and I
Yeah.
are friendless losers because
man.
we like to be alone.
Aw, you're friendless losers with us. You're not friendless
I
losers.
was about to say, clarify
Exactly.
that.
I know, but they're saying that he is because he goes on bike rides alone. Because
And he
goes
like
to
eats the
museums
meals alone. Yeah.
But at least he's going
Oh, I
out.
see what you were
Yeah.
saying, Andrew. Sorry.
And they don't even say why he's why.
I thought you were my friend. Just saying.
I thought you were saying. Okay, I'm sorry.
But my point is that like, yeah, it's almost
Yeah.
like, oh, but because he likes to be alone.
They don't say why he likes to be alone or why he's alone. They don't say if it's because
He's
of
autistic.
connecting with people or if he's just annoying. Like if it's his personality that people
And
just
see
don't
that
wanna-
little connection
Yeah.
of because he can't connect with people because he's autistic. That's why he's alone. Even that would have been a little bit more of an explanation than just he's autistic and then no other explanation after that.
Yeah, but I still feel like autistic people have friends.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I know, but I'm saying that
I get what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah,
Like,
it-
that is
a little bit
the
of a-
one shred of evidence, other than that he's smart,
right.
that might lend to it.
You could have built on
I don't know.
that.
I kind of wish he was annoying. Like that would be such a
He wasn't annoying. I thought he was annoying.
no, like annoying on purpose.
yeah,
Um,
true.
Okay.
He didn't try,
But yeah,
but he was.
heaven forbid anyone go bike riding alone.
You get kidnapped. That's what happens.
Also, about the jetpack thing, you know how when she pushes him off the building or whatever, and he's going face down. When you turn on a jetpack, it comes out the back, so he's just gonna go face down into the ground.
Even faster.
Exactly.
It's a whole new world. It's a
when-
magic carpet ride.
And when people are on jetpacks, they're not like level, like on face down towards the like parallel to the ground. They're standing up because the jet propels them upwards, and they just kind of go that way. So that was
And just
That was
kept.
really dumb.
Did you guys ever watch the movie The Rocketeer?
probably,
Yeah.
The Disney movie. That's all I kept thinking about was like The Rocketeer.
Also, then they landed in like the middle of like a
Lake.
busy thing, and they climbed out of the water with jetpacks.
Like
and
some
there's like tons of
festival,
fail, and nobody reported it.
Yeah, that's probably what gave away the location. She was like, I was so careful. Really?
Yeah, jetpacked.
Really?
Okay. All right. We ready for the next question?
Yes, please.
Were there any quotes or passages that stood out to you? Why?
No.
Why not?
No,
sorry.
not
I'm
really.
sorry.
You know what stood out to me? You know, in the end, where he's reading that little passage from his great grandfather's journal to a bunch of homicidal teenagers
Mhm.
and acting like it's going to help them
Oh,
in any way.
yeah.
And then randomly, all the guards, the entirety of Interpol, but somehow Arena just walks
Yeah.
right in and starts shooting.
Wearing like orange.
Right. Because nobody's going to notice that.
Mm-mm.
Maybe she jetpacked
Well, she's
in.
a super soldier.
Like,
So.
Okay, so back to the reading to
Yes,
the kids
the
thing.
reading.
if somebody had shown up at like my high school graduation to read something, I would also not like it. I would not pay attention. I'm not a homicidal teenager. He wasn't then.
Yeah.
And again, because he had no depth,
I know.
it made it seem like he was the superhero and that this is what he lived by. And I'm like, well, up until this point, that does not match who he is.
You just found this journal, and suddenly it's like your way of life.
Okay, sorry.
It is. I agree that it is incredibly strange that he's suddenly like he has known his whole life that he is related to Doc Savage, the original.
Yes.
And he also hasn't cared. Like,
Yeah.
he made it known that it's not like he's, like, super into his family history
Yeah.
or wanting to be like him, like the previous
Yeah.
Doc, or any of that. And now all of a sudden he's like, here, children, let me impart my wisdom upon
Well,
you.
that is the one thing. The ending is kind of misogynistic because it's like she just gets cast aside. She's the one who did all the work.
Yeah,
And all of a sudden, he's the one in charge. That was bad.
so I feel like the perfect assassin in this book was Mead.
Yeah.
And
She was kind of
Definitely was.
she literally, after everything, she realized how horrible it was, escaped, and then started working on how to destroy this horrible thing. And all of a sudden, he like RVs in or whatever, ATVs in. Yeah, should have jetpacked in. That's what. And all of a sudden, he's like, superhero. I don't take bullets, and now I'm taking speeches. So that's where that 1930s cheese,
Yeah.
1940s cheese,
Yeah.
definitely came in. But it minimized Mead at the end.
I think it really did.
And
too.
then she's walking with him and all of a sudden they're coming for her. But now that she has him, she'll be fine.
She'll be safe. I'm like,
Ugh.
girl, I don't really like how, I mean, she even says, like, you're supposed to be my protector, but at no point, aside from when he takes the bullet for her, do I feel like he really protected her. Like, she's the one who is in the Hunger Games, crawling up the trees, like, avoiding the little children with, like, guns,
Mhm.
and, like, blowing buildings up. I don't know.
And he just shows up at some point.
Zooms in over the hill. I'm here.
He made a phone call.
Oh, yeah, he did make a phone
He
call.
called Interpol. Why didn't she call Interpol? Why did she go to this friendless loser?
If she had called Interpol from the very beginning, no, because they made some comment. I'm sure they covered this up where it's like, oh, his bribes, his bribes must have finally worn
But
off.
I feel like she's smart enough to figure out people who are also.
I feel like instead of spending however much time and money she needed to update Doc Savage's apartment to make it soundproof, reinforced steel with all the cameras, she probably could have just been collecting intelligence
Yeah, exactly.
and going to Interpol.
Yeah.
Well, and also, if the money ran out, why did the money run? Like, that's a really interesting detail of, like, maybe the reason they were able to be secret and successful all these years is because they paid off world governments and things.
Mhm.
And then it's just like, well, I guess that didn't work anymore. Going down my secret passageway.
I
Like,
mean,
that was it.
She
That
could
was
have
the-
started with the parents who had their children stolen. Most of them are like extraordinary in some way. So some of
Yes.
them had to have had money that she could.
I'm sure a bunch
Or
of extraordinary
connections.
people banding together to
Yeah.
find their children. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that
The
they could make it
Avengers
happen.
Yeah.
is essentially, it could have been the Avengers.
It's like if the Avengers' parents got together.
Yes.
No, but she went to some guy.
She went to the guy who does who slips on ice like a cartoon character.
But he's got blood in him that's going to be like,
It activates his genes. It's a little. I don't like that part. That it's like somehow in his genes he's a superb human
Yeah.
specimen, and he just
Yeah.
has to activate it. That's a little. That's a
Yeah.
little creepy, a little Aryan.
And again,
like,
yeah. and even
Yeah.
then, if you're gonna give it like a sci-fi comic booky twist, there's like no mention of like and then he just doesn't die when a bullet hits him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like they don't like if you're either double down on that or just not. And like I thought he had like a bulletproof vest, and then it was like, no, it was his rippled pecs. I was like, oh god,
Those
this
are
turned into a Fabio novel. Plus the whole Aryan racist. Yeah, that was also disturbing too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But more importantly,
Not more importantly. Let's just put that out
I
there.
was being sarcastic.
I know, but people don't get sarcasm.
That's true.
Not more importantly.
What's your next question?
So we'll go. If we're made to a movie or TV series, who would you
Oh,
want
it's
to
happening.
play? Yeah.
And I bet my wonder is that they'll, because of this, it'll become like they'll redo the whole Doc Savage like thing in modern times.
Yeah.
Which they kind of did with Captain America. That was you like Florence Pugh. I think that's good.
I like her. I mean, I don't know that she would do it, but in my brain, it was Florence Pugh.
So there's this actress in this other show I watched. I thought of her for this role because in that show she had like really like coppery red hair like Meade, but also I really didn't like her acting in that show, so I thought she'd fit well.
Wow.
Dang.
She's a perfectly nice person, of course.
What's
but
her name? Do you know?
Catherine McNamara.
That name sounds familiar.
She was in Shadowhunters, and she was in that Walker like prequel series.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when it's in like
Yeah.
the 1800s or something.
He could be any
Yeah, just
nameless,
some dude.
faceless action
Yeah.
star with
Mhm.
that's built. I mean, I know how that sounds, but there's so
Mhm.
little character
Yeah.
that Meade's the important one. That's why I like Florence Pugh, because Florence Pugh is actually a really incredible actress as well.
Mhm.
If you've seen like some of her other Lady Macbeth and Midsummer, I hate that movie, but she was good in it. And Little Women, that she can actually pull off like because there's actually emotion to Meade, she can pull it off. But yeah, I don't know who to cast as him. Again, it's kind of like
He was kind of bland.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's plenty of those people wandering around Hollywood. They can find not right now because of the strikes, but when the strikes are over, I'm sure there's plenty of bland people who they could cast in this role.
But in my head, even though the like character gets like buffer, his hair probably gets thicker, his vision suddenly gets better. He can learn things in his sleep. I just always saw him with receding hairline. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I really.
He starts off with a receding hairline,
I know, but even
And then-
after he became like superfied, in my head, I'm like,
kind of like the Jean
You're-
Claude Van Damme like peak.
yeah,
maybe,
you're always gonna have her. Like, just like you need to get one of those sprays to like fill in the hair. It's just kind of like.
That is a 90s reference. In case you're wondering, they used to have spray cans that you could spray on your hair.
They probably still have him.
They probably still have them. They were not effective, gentlemen. If you're listening, they were not effective.
Did you have anyone in mind for him?
I couldn't think of anyone because most actors have personalities, and he doesn't really.
Who are the other characters? So the guy that ran the school was, I don't know the actor's name, but he played the Russian team in Harry Potter, the Triwizard Tournament.
Victor
Begins with Karkaroff?
Yeah, something like that.
Now not Victor Crumb.
Okay.
It was the guy who was the teacher for the school,
Oh,
and
yep.
he used to be a Death Eater, and then suddenly wasn't a Death Eater, but Harry was always suspicious.
Yeah.
Anyway, that actor is who I kept casting as the bad guy in
Gotcha.
this.
Fits the bill.
Yeah.
Eastern European kind of evil looking. Yeah.
That Arena.
Oh, so if Meade had the coppery curls, Arena had like straight black hair, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's not super important because anybody could do that, but I feel like it needs to be someone who's like really wily and resourceful and maybe a little weaselly. Because she's not a bad person, but she also doesn't come like there's like that level of competition where if Meade is the golden girl,
Yeah.
then she needs to be all of the opposite things.
But she also doesn't have much in terms of storyline. There's some, but it's always tied to Meade. So it's hard to find someone that fits a personality that's really not.
She remorselessly stole babies.
And she killed Meade's parents.
Yeah,
No
that
problem.
was the moment I thought I was going to throw the book across the room.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I was like, oh, really?
I figured that all of the kids were going to have to go kill their parents. What I found unbelievable was that she was the first one to have to go and kill her own parents.
Gotcha.
I thought
That's
that was
because
gonna
it was his brother.
Oh, yes. By the way, you are my niece. I cannot imagine looking at my nieces and being like, okay, so you're going to go jump in that ice hole and swim underneath the ice and come out the other side. But also, if you start to drown, oh, well.
Yeah.
I could not imagine doing that.
Yeah.
For what, a better world?
Yeah. It wasn't a better world. They were assassins.
But they were being like raised to be like
Right, true. The one
supreme
character
like people.
I did like was the like piano teacher lady. What's her name?
Oh.
Who like after giving her
Yeah.
who gave her just enough information about her past that she could like I guess sense that, and then she like killed herself. But she was like the one warm character
Except
in
they
Mead's world.
Described her like a ghost, like a gaunt
Right,
like, ghost.
right. But she
Yes.
was the only one that wasn't like atrocious or stupid
Yeah.
in that like world.
Well, she has some redeeming, yeah.
She
features,
there you go.
redeeming
She has a
features.
redeeming factor. Yeah.
I
But I don't know who to cast. I'm in my mind, I'm picturing the lady who played the neighbor in Golden Girls who wanted to cut down the tree. This is a random thing. Frida Claxton.
Yeah.
She's dead now. So, well, she died in the episode too. Remember Rose killed her,
Well, it's dead
and then
in the
no one
book.
wanted to go to the funeral.
I don't think I saw that.
It's a good episode.
I thought I saw that episode because I remember the tree bit, but now I don't remember.
They're like in the courtroom, and she goes, "You should just drop dead," and then she drops dead.
Oh yeah.
And then they sprinkle her ashes around the tree so that it's a burial site, so they can't cut it down.
Just hit my arm on the wall.
Oh gosh, are you okay?
Yeah,
Well,
it's
that's the
pretty
padded.
soft.
It's the padded stuff. So
That's really okay. We're off the. Okay, what's next?
Sorry, y'all, that was-
So we talked a little bit about the ending, but there's this one throwaway line in the ending where Mead's talking about the teachers and how they just let some of them go. And I was just very confused by that.
I don't understand that either.
Yeah.
like
Like
they
some
sh-
of them are going to be charged with like human trafficking and all that stuff, but no, some of them are just going to go home, start their lives over. They
we
were
decided they
involved.
weren't as bad.
So I can see maybe some of them having been held captive for whatever and to teach or whatever,
Mhm.
but they didn't mention that. They're just like, yeah, some of them can just go home.
You know, it would have been a more interesting plot point that what if instead of kidnapping all the little babies, you kidnap the super amazing parent too to be the teacher?
And
You
again,
just want them to stay with the
I
babies.
know, I just really want the babies to be okay.
it's fiction.
Yeah.
Did y'all have any other issues with the ending?
I mean, I'm sure. I think it was a little, this is going to sound weird, a little anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Like, even though, like, I know that they're running through the woods or whatever, but when the majority of the people she was quote unquote fighting were teenagers, I checked out. I'm like, no, like,
Yeah.
had it been like staff members or they had called in more graduates,
Mm-hmm.
sure.
And maybe that's where like it turns out some of the staff members end up helping her out because they also were trapped and they finally saw
Yeah.
an out or something. That would have
Yeah.
totally just like a few lines there.
Yeah.
You know, one looks at her and decides to let her
Yeah,
go or
looks
something.
the
You're
other
like,
way.
oh, okay. So they're those are the good guys. You know, they're the
Yeah.
ones that get away with
they're
it.
in between a rock and a hard place,
Right.
Mm.
You know what it
They
felt
help
like?
her.
It was a little Harry Potterish.
Yeah, towards the end. It really had that Hunger Games vibe
Yeah.
with the kids and the ATV. Oh my gosh, the ATVs! I just can't.
Roll.
I-
I'm just imagining like all of a sudden they're stopped because they hear this roar and he like skids in front of them and like dun da 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 music is played. That's how that scene played out and it did not work.
But it's still like an ATV. Like, I mean, you just like, it's like he came up on a little tricycle. It's like, wait, guys, I'm here. Like, I'm here to help. Like, it's not like, I don't know, not like he came just like, even running would have been better. Like, just bolting over and like jumping. I don't know.
He flipped in from out of nowhere.
Yes, he needs to fly in. Okay.
On the F-14s that they randomly have.
Well, I'm sure he could find a random helicopter on that like space, right?
He
Like
probably knows how to fly.
he has had a jetpack.
He learned while he was
Oh,
sleeping.
that's right.
Oh, yeah. When they I'm sorry, sorry, how did that plane not get shot down?
Right.
They stole somebody's private plane.
Yeah.
How did it have enough gas? Like, they kind of sort of addressed it. How did she survive? Because, like, I get it, fine. He is some superhuman genetic person. Is she
I
supposed to
think
be
it's
as
because
well?
they went into the water and that
Yeah,
kind
no,
of helped or something.
I just don't.
Also,
dumb.
it took them like 12 minutes to get from Chicago to like the Bering Strait.
You know what really bugged me?
No,
He
what
had
really
no
bugged you?
idea what Kamchatka was. The peninsula that they went to.
Oh, yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, oh yeah, Kamchatka. I've never heard of that. He's a PhD anthropology guy. I'm sure they have to know something about geography.
Yeah.
Just bugged me.
But then he somehow, he crashes right where his grandfather's
That
thing
is
is.
Crazy to me that, like, out of the entire ocean,
Yeah. It is a very
he
large ocean, in
found
case
the
anyone was
Fortress
wondering.
of Solitude.
Right.
Maybe there was just like in his genes, maybe it's like built-in homing beacon that he just.
Well, explain
He
that. Again,
knows how
double down
to-
on the sci-fi thing. He's like Aquaman all of a sudden, like, bro, the fish guide him to the ship or something. Like, come on.
Like, I don't know. It would have been okay if they had established that that was a place prior, or maybe she was like, we're not going to make it to, what did you call it, Kamchatka?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a real place. But I am not claiming to.
You don't have a PhD in anthropology. Like, none of us do. So, like,
No.
I didn't know it was a real place.
I've taken one anthropology class and I technically didn't finish it.
I have a minor in geography and I didn't know what it was.
No.
Just in case you were wondering. So it's okay. Like, but he should
Thank
know.
you.
I agree with you.
Like, I feel like she could have been in the plane and been like, okay, we're not going to make it. We're going to try to go to this place. And then they crash. And then, oh, wait, they are closer than they thought they were, or they made it to this secret layer that has survived since the 1930s in the ocean, because that's not a dangerous place.
that's where the jetpacks. Like, if they had randomly found jetpacks out of the plane,
Yeah.
they still could have totally incorporated the jetpacks because there was no purpose for them
But I just.
other than he
It
learned
was-
how to fly. I don't know. I don't know what the.
You're right. There was no purpose for the jetpacks.
But if it's like
Sure.
randomly, there are jetpacks on here in case of a
Introduce-
danger. Oh, whirr, like that would have made more sense. It's still been stupid, but at least it would have been made sense stupid. You know what I mean?
Useful stupid.
Huh?
It would be useful stupid.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Okay. How would you compare this book to the previous Patterson and Friends books we've read?
Patterson and Friends.
The noise is still the worst,
Mm-hmm.
in my humble opinion. I think I liked this one better because even though there was that slight, like all of a sudden he has, chest of steel or whatever,
Uh-huh.
I really hated the like horror parts
Mm-hmm.
of Death of Black Widow and the noise. To me, they weren't horrifying and they didn't work.
Mhm.
Like that just, so this one's probably my favorite. It's a
So
low
weird.
bar.
It's the most tolerable.
That's it. Yes. They should put that on the back. It's like Patterson's books might as well come to movie tickets as a bonus feature. It's the most tolerable. Gaston speaks.
Gaston
That would be fun.
This one was also my favorite. I feel like I guess I just like Brian Sitt's writing better. If they make more, I don't know.
They probably.
They probably
You're gonna
will
make us read that
swing
one,
it.
aren't you?
Probably.
Yeah, we're gonna have to read the murder.
I don't know. I hope that
Murder
it gets
business.
better. I hope that I mean, it's hard to start a new franchise, I guess.
Is this the first?
Hmm
And are they planning more? Is that
I mean, that's the
Probably.
vibe I get.
yeah? And kind of build on it. Okay.
Yeah. The noise is still the worst because it just didn't make sense. I think, we talked about how in the noise and even in Death of the Black Widow that the authors didn't really write well together.
Mhm.
I just assume Brian took over the whole story.
This
Just
one
wrote
had a
it.
lot-
It is kind of written like a TV script in a way. There's like little vignettes of
Mhm.
action, like scenes.
And this one flowed better, and it didn't feel like you always talked about the noise. It was like round robin writing or
Yeah.
whatever. Like you could tell the parts that were James Patterson, the parts. I really couldn't tell the
I couldn't
difference.
either.
So there was a lot more, I guess, cohesiveness is the word we're
Mhm.
looking for compared to the other three. It was also the shortest. The
Oh,
other two,
yeah.
excuse me. It's the shortest. of
Well,
the
maybe
three.
they learned from the previous mistakes.
No, they didn't. They learned one thing. They do not need the 100 extra pages of the horde.
All right. Any final thoughts about the book?
I mean, I got my list. Let's pull it up.
I
You
love
want to?
Kindle's list. They're the best part of it.
Every time you say that, it makes me nervous.
Why? They're fun.
Thank you. I don't know what really they are until
It was something you introduced in season 2, and I feel like it's a good crossover to season 3.
Okay, so we'll continue to do it. Let's see. You guys ready?
Yes.
All right. I don't like it when bad stuff happens to kids.
Mm.
I already read this one to Angelique. But in the beginning, when he's a professor and they're establishing him as a professor, he starts talking about his freshman students. And he says, the first years were tree stumps and they were more interested in TikTok. And my response is, okay, boomer. Like, seriously? That is your evaluation of the newest generation? They like TikTok. They're stupid. You're stupid.
Note that we are all in our 30s. Just keep going.
For a little while. Okay. Then I learned about Doc Savage, and that was actually really helpful because before I was like, this is weird. Okay. When Meade dressed up for an event, Doc described her makeup as blue eyeshadow and pink lips. All I could see in my head is Mimi from Drew Carey.
Did you picture her in a muumuu? This is how far did we go with this?
Yep. Well, she didn't seem to be exercising as much as he was.
That's true.
I mean, that was
Now
really horrible.
I'm like picturing Mimi on a jetpack. Sorry. All right. Go.
All right. Doc Savage was a twin. Anyone else immediately think of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito? There should be a drinking game every time Meade's hair is mentioned.
Yes.
They do talk about the copper curls a lot.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you're going to be an assassin, dye your hair, girl.
Exactly.
Like, do not be noticeable. You want to blend.
Because like on the video footage camera, Irina recognized the copper curls.
Coppery hair. Ugh. Like, come on. Okay, I already said the thing that I thought they were related. I'm still feeling like they're kind of related. I don't know. Flying jetpacks from the 1930s. I can feel Andrew's rating drop. I thought Irina was going to be the dead sister. We talked about that. What is with all the strange smiling? Like, all of the kids in the school were like, and they're smiling. Like, as they're running through the airport, just smiling. Why
Supposed to
did...
be creepy, I guess.
Well, okay, well, it was, but why? Like,
Okay, assassins don't smile.
I mean, maybe they do, but they did not give us context for why.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like if they had said, that was one of the trainings, is you always look happy to make sure that you don't look like you're in trouble or something. Like, and I don't remember that at all
I
being
don't know.
mentioned.
If I see people who are too happy at an airport, I get nervous.
That's true.
Yeah, like,
That's true.
you don't want to be noticeable.
I know.
Like, I don't know. I thought it was going to be like, oh, you find out that the meds they were getting, like, had weird side effects or something. But no, they're just constantly smiling. Or they're just all sociopaths and really enjoying the hunt. Who knows? I don't know.
That could be
So when they're fighting the horde of students, the wind kicks up, Doc pushes Meade onto the ground, causing you pain as you land on your shoulder wrong, and yet you've never felt safer. Meade felt safe when he showed up. And I was like, what?
He's so... I don't know.
Angelique's like,
I don't understand.
It makes no sense.
Also, I mean, if she was doing a lot of these same things, like if she was taking a lot of these supplements and stuff, like why is so basically she didn't do any of that to herself. Why couldn't she have unlocked her superhuman
Yeah.
whatever? Why did she have to have a man to unlock the superhuman? Yeah, that's where, it's like you finally build an interesting female character and then right at the end,
Yeah.
She's just so safe.
damsel in
because-
distress. Yeah.
I don't know. They just, from the beginning, should have been open and honest and been like, hey, let's do this. And then he'd be like, yeah, I have buy-in. And then it'd be
it's
scary
like
or
she
something.
had this horrible thing done to her, and then she goes just does it to somebody else.
It's because, I guess, the trauma, like, you feel like you have to do what's done to you in order to have the same results. But then she was trying to undo that,
Yeah.
I guess, is the closest explanation. I don't know. Those are my thoughts. But it actually was like a fun, easy, like, read, I think.
I clicked through it. Yeah.
I think
mean,
the patrons who like a good, fun, easy read, gonna like it. It's a little outlandish, but that's okay.
But you know what? It's definitely a little different than a lot of the other Patterson things that have come out in a while.
Mhm.
So it might be a nice, like, fresh thing for the people who read every single Patterson book.
Yeah.
You know, it's not so, this doesn't have the horror elements. It's not the same old Alex Cross or same old Women's Murder Club type stuff. So maybe they'll enjoy it because it's like, it feels like James Patterson, but it's just a little different.
There's not a lot of gruesome murder, which does happen sometimes in, like, I don't know about Women's Murder Club, but in
I don't
Alex
either.
Cross series, ugh.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of sexual content. There's not a lot
No.
of foul language. So it's
Yeah.
it's a little bit less James Patterson-y, because I know some of our patrons who they like the mystery, but some of those that go too far, they really struggle with. So maybe this would be a good one for them.
Yeah, not a lot of mystery, but it's a fun, like, easy ride.
It has that feel, the adventure-y kind of.
I guess that's the Doc Savage vibe. I don't
Yeah.
know. Without knowing Doc Savage, it's hard to
Yeah.
figure out if it's close to the original or not.
So the way I found out that it was like a continuation of an old series is that I went on to Goodreads and I read the 1-star reviews because that makes me feel better after I read a bad book.
I read
Me
the same
too.
reviews. You're talking
I'm
about
like-
that guy? That he
I
read?
did that
Anyway,
after we
go
read
ahead.
that Coho book, and then it was like all the 1-star reviews got attacked, and I was like, I'm not writing a review. I'll put my rating, but I'm not writing a review.
Mm-mm.
Anyway, a few of those reviews were like, "It's not Doc Savage at all." So I was like, "Yes, who's Doc Savage?" So I had to go back.
The one old man on Goodreads. When I back in my day, we read Doc Savage.
Yeah, that's how I found out that Doc Savage was a thing as well.
Interesting.
What if he starts doing, like, if he, like, reviving, like, all the old series? Like, what if he starts, like, doing, like, a Philip Marlowe revival?
Oh God.
I mean, that's sort of kind of what he's doing with the next book he's writing with Brian Sitz. Because all those characters, like, they're not like
Oh yeah,
sort
the
of like
old lady.
Mrs. Marple. Yeah, they're all based off of like
Yeah.
classic mystery adventure type.
Oh yeah, because it's
Maybe
Sherlock
that's gonna be their like
Holmes.
thing.
You should go and read like the synopsis for it. It sounds really dumb.
You're gonna make us read the book, Marjorie, probably.
well,
So
read the synopsis so you know what you're going into.
I know what I'm getting
It's
into.
not like I'm going to hold you down and hold the book in front of your face.
Even then, you can close your eyes.
Not unless she invents a Mead-like thing. No, she'll put the audiobook on my head when I sleep, so I'll learn the whole book.
She'll just
Wouldn't you prefer that though?
I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna like listen to like surgery audiobooks and then wake up and suddenly be able to like Whipple.
Oh my gosh! I was just
Does
thinking,
that work?
gotta be able to do that running whip stitch.
Yes, yes. We watched a lot of Grey's Anatomy, so we think we know things. I have no idea. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
All right, anything else?
No, I think we've gone off the rails again.
Okay. So we'll just wrap up. And before we do, I think I should just promote our library website, gastonlibrary.org, where you can find our events calendar, a lot of the databases that we provide for patrons, like NC Live and NC Digital Library and Freegal, things like that. So check out gastonlibrary.org. Look up some programs for the fall as well. We have a lot of good stuff coming.
We do.
All right, that's it for the first episode of our third season of We're Booked Up.
Woohoo!
The Perfect Assassin is available in both print and online at the NC Digital Library and through the Libby app. Let us know what you think of the book and what you think of what we think of the book. Just leave a comment at the Off the Shelf blog at gastonlibrary.blogspot.com or at gastonspeaks.podbean.com. Next month's book is Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. Thanks for listening.
Bye,
guys.
Thanks.